Before we dive into the second half of your free information and training session, I'd like to share 4 brief reminders. First, please remember that this session is exclusively for women. Second, make sure you've watched the first half before continuing with this part to maintain a smooth flow. To the men, your session is already uploaded here, as it has already been presented, so please be sure to look that up. Third, similar to our previous session, please allocate a full hour to watch this video. If you're pressed for time, you can always return to it later, as it will be uploaded here. Finally, just like before, we will have a short intermission about halfway through. This will give you an opportunity to grab a coffee, visit the restroom, and take a breather. Now, let's get started. As we transition into the second half of Lesson 1 of Awaken His Passion, I want to reiterate how crucial this journey is, not just for your partner, but for you as well. We've laid the foundation for understanding what unconditional love truly means, and now it's time to dig deeper. In this portion, we will explore the powerful tools and techniques that not only enhance your vocabulary of love, but also enrich your emotional connection with the man you love. We'll delve into the importance of effective communication, mutual respect, and the genuine expression of your feelings. It's essential to remember that love isn't just a feeling. It's a practice, a daily commitment to nurturing the bond you share with your partner. Additionally, we will discuss common pitfalls that women experience in relationships and how to overcome them through conscious efforts and intentional actions. Together, we will practice exercises designed to strengthen your connection, encourage open dialogue, and pave the way for a fulfilling, passionate relationship. Prepare to be inspired by powerful anecdotes from couples who have faced similar struggles and emerged stronger. Their stories remind us that hope exists and transformation is possible. Engage fully with this experience and allow yourself to be challenged and uplifted. I encourage you to watch this video until the end, even if it means returning to it later. We have some exciting bonuses in store that I'm sure will inspire you in a positive way. Hello again, ladies. Let's take this important next step in your relationship journey together. Here we go.
Now, let me tell you what an affair is all about. A man is in a relationship where he no longer feels good about himself, and so he finds another woman that he feels good about himself with. It's not that he falls in love with the other woman. What he falls in love with is the way he feels about himself when he's with this other woman. And if you want to fight fire with fire, you've got to make this man feel good about himself when he's back in your presence. And that's as simple as I can make it. If he no longer feels good about himself, he will go to another woman who will make him feel good. So this program is not about getting prettier or thinner. Some of the most beautiful women in the world are by themselves. It's not about making more money. Some of the wealthiest women are lonely. And it's not about becoming more intelligent. It's learning how to make another human being feel good about themselves. Now, how do you make a man feel good about himself? You really have to think about all his wonderful traits, the qualities you saw in the beginning. And I'm going to make that real easy for you to do with this program. Florence Littauer, who's also a lecturer, actually composed a chart based on the work of Hippocrates. 2,300 years ago, he came up with a temperament chart, where he says that for every kind of temperament or personality, there are strengths and there are weaknesses. Just to give you an example, he broke it down to 4 basic personalities. There's the phlegmatic person, who's an introvert, a watcher, and a pessimist. You might think, what could be good about this man? Well, his strengths are that he has a low-key personality. He is easygoing and relaxed, calm, cool, collected, well-balanced, and has a consistent life. He is quiet yet witty, sympathetic, kind, competent, steady, peaceful, and agreeable. His weaknesses are that he is unenthusiastic, fearful, worried, and indecisive. He avoids responsibility, he is quiet, he is selfish, and he's shy. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that for every temperament there are strengths and there are weaknesses. There are certain professions that people go into depending on their personality. The phlegmatic is usually your diplomat, your accountant, your teacher, or your technician. The next personality is the sanguine. Many people envy this type of person because, after all, they're great storytellers, talkative, the life of the party, have a good sense of humor, are able to hold on to a listener and grab their attention. Yet, look at the weaknesses. They are compulsive talkers, exaggerate and elaborate. They dwell on trivia, can't remember names. And your sanguine personalities usually are your actors, your salesmen, and your speakers. Now let's look at the next one, the melancholy. That's your introvert, the thinker, rather than the watcher and the pessimist. The melancholy type strengths are deep and thoughtful, genius-prone, talented, creative, artistic, and musical. Weaknesses. They remember the negatives, moody and depressed. Melancholy are your artists, your musicians, your inventors, your philosophers, and your doctors. The last one, the choleric, is your extrovert, the doer, and the optimist. And the choleric personalities are your leaders, producers, and builders of the world. The strengths for these people are that they are born leaders. They're dynamic and active. They instigate change. They correct wrongs, and they're strong-willed. The weaknesses are they're bossy, impatient, quick-tempered, and they can't relax. Again, I want to emphasize that for every personality, there are strengths and there are weaknesses. You have a choice. Do I dwell on somebody's weaknesses, or do I want to concentrate on what's wonderful, what's special, what's unique, and why they matter in my life? A summary of what I've been talking about up to now is that everybody is part strength, part weakness. We have to learn to emphasize the positive rather than the negative. Just because somebody is different doesn't make them wrong. Different doesn't equal wrong. You know, I remember a man in my class who said, "I don't understand what this class is going to do for me. My wife and I are coming from such different points of view. So let me give you an example. Let's just say my wife and I want to get to the top of the building. My wife is going to take the elevator to get there. I, on the other hand, I'm going to put on my sneakers. I'm going to run up those stairs because I love the physical act of running up the stairs. I love to breathe the fresh air, and I love to watch and enjoy the scenery. So you tell me, how are two people like that ever going to make it?" Well, I said to him that by the end of the lesson, my hope is that you will take the stairs. You will allow her to take the elevator, and then when you meet, you'll go for a beautiful dinner and discuss how you both got to the top. You have no right to force her to take the stairs. She has no right to force you to take the elevator. Both of you have to appreciate your different ways of getting to the top. Now, if you have a relationship based on mutual respect, wouldn't it be nice if once in a while you joined her in the elevator? And wouldn't it be wonderful if once in a while she put on some tennis shoes and joined you on the stairs? Each of us is unique. Each of us is a combination of temperament traits. Nobody is 100% of anything. You will find that you possess many different traits within your own personality. I want to read you a suicide note from a teenager. It begins, "We live on a round planet. We assume, therefore, that all the other planets are round like the one we live on, and God, looking out over the universe, sees all kinds of planets. There are oval, rectangular, and square ones. They're not all round like the one we live on. What happens is that before you're born, God sorts out your soul. If you've got a round soul, he puts you on a round planet. If you've got an oval soul, he puts you on an oval planet. And if you've got a triangular soul, he puts you on a triangular planet. In my case, God made a big mistake. I've got an oval soul, and he put me on a round planet. The school, mum, dad, and even you, doctor, keep trying to file my soul round like everybody else's. And all I ever wanted to do was to keep my oval soul." Now, let me make an important point. Every house has to have room for different shaped souls. They simply cannot be, nor are they supposed to be, all alike. Yet for many parents, raising children becomes a tug of war. It's a filing, shaping, stomping, squashing match to ensure that each child emerges with the proper shaped soul. Marriages often turn out to be that same struggle between two persons who need to learn to be able to respect and even like souls of a slightly different shape. My wife has 2 grown children from a much earlier previous marriage. Both her children are distinct. They each have different personalities. Both my wife and I can make a list on a piece of paper of every one of their strengths, every one of their weaknesses. And each of them is unique, and we want to appreciate them for their uniqueness. There is no such thing as one temperament being better than another. We're just different, and different doesn't equal better. I remember a woman raising her hand after I said this, and she told the class that her whole family was very educated. She had a master's degree, and her husband had a PhD. She had 2 sons, and one of them had an MBA from Harvard Business School. The other son had been such a problem from kindergarten on up, he could never sit still in the class and he hated school. She took him from psychologist to psychologist, and finally, in a senior year of high school, one particular psychologist said, "There's nothing wrong with this kid. He's never going to be surrounded by 4 walls, and if you can't cope with that, then continue seeking help, yet leave him alone." She said that today, that son is married, has 3 kids, and is fishing off the coast of Alaska. He is so happy, and she now understands that all he was an oval soul stuck in a round soul family. I received a letter from a woman who attended one of my lectures. I'd like to read a portion of that to you. I am a widow, early in life, for which no one is really prepared. Certainly not when your husband is only 49. Needless to say, in the last 2 years, I've been faced with responsibilities and decisions that I thought I was going to share with my husband for the rest of my life. As you will know, these decisions regarding your kids are never easy, particularly when one of you is a type A and the other is a type B. Therefore, the letter that you read from that young man who said he was an oval personality being forced into a round planet hit me on the head like a sledgehammer. My eldest child, my son, has been in university for 6 years, has hated every minute of it, and has only wanted to be out in the workforce. He's not lazy. He has always had a job and knows exactly what he wants to do. Perhaps his career choice, a racetrack announcer, would not be mine, yet he's good at it and he loves it. Yet I've been pushing him to finish university for my sake and his father's. Well, after I heard you, I called him and told him that I loved him and I wanted him to be happy. Perhaps someday he'll finish university when it suits him, and right now he needs to follow his own story and not mine. And what I can tell you, what a tremendous burden I feel has been lifted from my shoulders. My son was in shock, and he could only say, "Thank you." He did call my daughter a week later to find out if I was on drugs. For the first time since my husband's death, I know I've made a decision that needs no affirmation. Thank you. I'm so glad that somebody really got my message loud and clear. Now let me take the smallest room in the house, the bathroom, and show you what happens when 2 different people are trying to live with one another. There's no right or wrong, just 2 different people. They're trying to live with one another. One feels toothpaste tubes are squeezed from the bottom, and then they're rolled up. The other person says, "Look, squeeze the tube and any fat spot and throw it away when it looks empty." One person feels you must floss your teeth after every meal, otherwise your teeth will fall out. The other one says, "Look, I've never had a cavity and I don't care about flossing." One of you feels mouthwash is just an advertising gimmick. The other one says it's necessary to fight bad breath. One of you feels that clean people shower twice a day. The other person says it's unhealthy to bathe more than 3 times a week. One says taking a bath is like lying in your own dirt. The other says baths are the only way that I feel really clean. The bathroom door is supposed to be locked when somebody is sitting on the toilet. The other person feels it's not natural to be squeamish about normal bodily functions. My wife told me a funny story, where she still laughs because in her house when her son was little, he used to sit on the toilet with the door wide open. Her daughter would walk by and say, "You are so disgusting." Same house, same upbringing, 2 different children. One of you feels towels should be changed every day. The other feels clean towels are fine once a week. One of you feels all medication needs to be on one shelf. The other one says, "Who cares where the aspirin is, as long as it's there?" How about the toilet paper? One of you wants to unravel it from the top. The other wants to pull it out from the bottom. And the toilet seat. What woman hasn't screamed in the middle of the night as she falls into the toilet because he forgot to put their toilet seat back down? If there were only men in the house, the toilet seat would be up all the time. There's no right or wrong. Now, if these differences can be found in the smallest room, guess what goes on in the rest of the house? This is just another example of how opposites attract. When we respect our differences, we complement one another. It is our differences which we are attracted to in the beginning of a relationship. Usually a person who wants to lead will be attracted to somebody who wants to follow. A good listener is attracted to a talker. A pessimist is usually attracted to an optimist. By the way, I think that many dating services don't work because when you fill out these questionnaires, they always try to match you up with somebody who is exactly like you, when they need to be matching you up with somebody who's your opposite. Some of you might not want to admit this, and those of you that have children, especially teenage children, do you know that the child that you get along best with is the one that is least like you, and the one that you are always arguing with is the one that is a carbon copy of yourself? If you can't be in a room with your mother for more than 20 minutes before a big argument starts, You can bet your bottom dollar that you have similar personalities. And if the two of you can go shopping for hours upon hours, I can bet that your personalities complement one another and you are opposites. So the one we usually get along with most is the one that is the opposite of what we're like. The last point is to accept a man as he is, not what you want him to be. Acceptance doesn't mean putting up with him or being dishonest when we have to convince ourselves that he is perfect when he's not. Acceptance happens to be a happy state of mind when we realize it's not our responsibility to make him over, rather appreciating him for who he is. Now, how are you going to do this? Well, number one, get rid of a superior attitude. This week, I would like you to think about the man in your life. I would like you to think about what attracted you to this man. Why did you fall in love in the beginning? Go back to day one. What did you see in the man? The same attributes are probably still there. You've just forgotten or haven't paid attention lately. There is a saying, a man will marry a woman in hopes that she'll never change. A woman marries a man in hopes that he'll change. Usually, you'll talk to a woman who's fallen in love and she'll say, I love him and there's so much that I need to change. I'm going to change his hair, his clothes, and when I get done with him, you won't even recognize him. Just remember to recognize and love him for who he is. Number two, accept him as part strength, part weakness, part good, part bad. By the way, those are our marriage vows that most people don't remember. For better or for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health from this day forward. Problem is, we think it's all going to be positive, and when it begins to get negative, or if there's any conflict, we think we need to get rid of him and get somebody else in our life. Number three, very important, start looking to his better side, his strengths. Life is too short to dwell on your partner's weaknesses. Start to dwell on all the things that are positive, wonderful, and good about him. Number four, verbalize your acceptance. Don't just think good thoughts. He needs to hear the words. Tell them that you accept him. People need verbalization and validation of why they make a difference in your life and why they matter. So the first principle in a happy relationship is to accept a man as he is, not what you wish him to be. If you concentrate on changing him, it puts you in a superior position, and this eventually destroys love, confidence, and communication. I love the picture of the woman holding a scroll. It says, she who waits for her knight must remember she'll have to clean up after his horse. That is the good and the bad. So even if you have a knight in shining armor, he's going to come on a horse that you're going to have to clean up after. For those of you that think life is perfect, it isn't. Now let's look at your homework assignment. After all, what good is hearing all this information if you don't put it into action? First, I'll give the assignment for those of you who are in a relationship, and then I'll give the assignment for those of you who are not in a relationship, okay? For those of you that are in a relationship, here goes. Think of it as a brand new relationship. Every time you are tempted to criticize, nag, demand, or express disapproval of any kind for 1 week, I want you to write it down. Don't say it. For the remainder of this course, I want you to concentrate on his good side only. Remember, love is blind. You do it with your plants and pets. Now, I'm not telling you not to feel negative. I'm just asking you not to say anything negative. Now, usually when I say this, somebody in my lecture always raises their hand and says, well then, what if I have nothing to say all week? My answer is, well, then it's going to be a very quiet week around your house. Think whatever you like. Write it down, all of your negative thoughts. Just don't have it come out of your mouth. And if it means it's going to be a very quiet week around your house, well, fine. Then there's going to be a lot of peace and quiet in your household. When you do this assignment, you begin to see yourself much more objectively. Some of us think we're so easy to get along with. We're such wonderful, positive people, and it's the other person that needs to change. And so when you stop yourself from nagging, criticizing, or saying something negative, you'll be really shocked at how many times something negative would have come out of your mouth if you hadn't stopped it. Because of our upbringing, many of our thoughts and reactions are extremely negative. When you tell a man that you accept him the way he is, you set him free to be his best without nagging and pushing. If you tell him, I love you just the way you are with no conditions attached, what you do is actually strengthen his personal confidence, which will make him a much more responsible, loving partner. So here's what I want you to do this week. At a good moment, here's what I'd like you to say, and you pick the one that applies to you. I'm really glad I met you, or I'm so glad I fell in love with you, or I'm so glad that I married you. I want you to know that I really love you the way you are. Up to now, I've been dwelling on all the negative things. I'm going to start concentrating on all your positive qualities. I know I've done a lot of things wrong in the past. I just want you to know I'm really sorry, and I'm going to prove to you that I really am happy and love you for who you are. Most of you don't know the reaction you're going to get. I'm here to tell you that there's nothing more wonderful than telling a person that they are loved for who they are. You can also add that I know sometimes we have different views and a different way of doing things, and that's why I fell in love with you. You are so exciting to live with, and I get so much out of being with you. I wouldn't trade you for any other man in the whole world. You may need to replay this part of the lesson several times until you've memorized what I want you to say. Now, a lot of you listening are thinking, I can't say this. These are your words. They're not my words. And if I don't feel it, I can't say it. Let me tell you about an article that I read a long time ago. It said that the average person lies approximately 55 times a day. Now, I find that hard to believe. This is how many times the average person lies, and included in that are our thoughts. For example, if you see your neighbor and you say, "Hi, Jean," and then you think, "I can't stand that woman," that's a lie. If your boss comes over to you and asks, "How's the new job going?" most of you would smile and say, "Well, fine, okay." If we were really truthful, you'd probably say, "You want to know how the job is going? I had the runs all last night. I can't believe how little you're paying me. You need 3 people here instead of 1 person. Everything that you're asking me to do is overwhelming." You'd put a big smile on your face and say, "Oh, fine, everything's great." And then you'd go home and tell the person you really love the truth about that job. Most of you, if I came to your house and I spilled coffee on a brand new couch and I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel like such an idiot. Please forgive me." Almost every one of you would say, "Ernie, come on, stop it. Somebody will take care of it in the morning. We'll have it steam cleaned or whatever. Don't make a big deal out of it. It's fine. It's okay." Now, let the same thing happen with somebody that you love, and I don't want to be in that room when you start screaming and yelling about how much you paid for that couch and what an idiot you are. So you're going to tell me a lie because you don't want to hurt my feelings. After all, you don't know me very well. Yet, boy, the people we know, they're going to get the real truth every single time. Remember when I talked at the beginning of the class about that rat that's in the 4th cheeseless tunnel? Most of you really believe that I need to feel something, say it, and then experience it. Well, I'm here to tell you that I don't care if you feel it or you don't feel it. It doesn't matter. What I want you to do is just say it, experience it, and then evaluate it. If you do that, I want you to realize that I'm only asking you to do for your partner what you do for strangers. If my wife came to you straight from a hairdresser where they stuffed up her hair and dyed it bright green and she said to you, "Look what they did to my hair, what am I going to do?" Do you know that every one of you would look at her and say, "It's not that bad. I mean, you've got to get used to it, and it's kind of okay." Not one of you would say, "Oh no, what are you going to do? Your hair looks awful. Are you going to go and have it all shaved off?" You wouldn't do that. You would try to save her from feeling bad about herself and modify your reaction. All day long, we are giving strangers what we need to give the people that we love in our life. Do you know when a medical student is doing his rounds, he doesn't feel like a doctor. And if somebody says, "Excuse me, doctor," what he really wants to do is turn around and say, "Please don't call me doctor. I've been up to 4 o'clock in the morning studying for my exams. I don't even know if I can give you the right diagnosis." He doesn't do that. He just kind of makes believe that he is a doctor, and then years later, of course, he becomes the doctor. Hey there, everyone. We're halfway through our training module, and it's time for a quick intermission. This is a great opportunity to stretch your legs, grab a snack, or take a deep breath and let everything we've covered so far sink in. Remember, staying refreshed is key to retaining what you've learned. In just a few minutes, we'll dive back in and explore more exciting content that will enhance your skills and knowledge. So take a moment for yourself. We'll be back in 7 minutes, right here. Enjoy this break, and we'll see you soon. There is a technique in sales that, unfortunately, we aren't taught in our personal lives. It says, act the part and you shall be the part. Not many of you have heard of this before, and let's just say you are going into the field of real estate. Do you know that you would be told in the very first couple of weeks, please go out and buy yourself an expensive suit, and please go out and buy yourself expensive shoes, and go get yourself a wonderful haircut, because nobody is going to list an expensive house with you, nor are they going to buy a house from you if they think that this is your first sale. So you're going to have to make believe that you're already successful. And what happens is later on, you will fill those shoes. You will be successful, yet it's an act in the beginning. Cary Grant was once interviewed and they asked, how did you become the sexy, debonair, exciting man that every woman in this world would die for? He said, you want to know the truth? When I was an acne-faced teenager, awkward and gawky, I used to pretend that I was a ladies' man, a debonair, sexy, and exciting. The scary part is, I don't know when my make-believe self became my real self. They became intertwined. And so what I'm asking some of you to do is make believe that you're madly in love. For some of you listening to this lesson, this will be an easy assignment. You can just say, I just want to tell you that I am so glad that I married you. I want you to know that I love you for who you are. I am the luckiest woman alive to have you in my life. Maybe up to now I've been dwelling on all your negative qualities, and I just want you to know that I love you for who you are. For those of you that have a little problem with this, I want you to make believe you are madly in love for the entire program. Your job is to become an actress. You are going to act the part until you become the part. I want you to make believe that this is the most incredible man in your life and constantly ask yourself, if he were the most fantastic lover in the world, how would I treat this man? And I want you to react accordingly. And for those of you that find this almost impossible to say, you might add the words in spite of, and it sounds like this. Sometimes this week, here's what I want you to say. Honey, I started thinking, and in spite of everything that's happened, I just want you to know, I really am glad that you came into my life. I'm glad I met you. I know that most of the time we've been together over the past couple of years, I've been so negative. I just want you to know, for what it's worth, I really do love you for who you are. Now, even those of you that are single and dating, you can leave that man with these words. Thank you so much, and I had a great time tonight. And I want you to know, you really are a wonderful person. I really like you for who you are. You have no idea the impact on a person hearing that. I had one girl that tried it out, and this man did not stop calling her all week. And she felt like saying it was just a test. It was a homework assignment. I just wanted to try it out. Children also need to hear this. I want you to tell every one of your children. I don't care how young they are. I don't care how old they are. I don't care if they aren't even born yet. Rub your tummy and talk to the unborn child. Here's what I want you to say. I want you to know I love you for who you are. I wouldn't trade you for any other child in the whole world. Now, if you get back, oh mum, I know you do, then give yourself 100% and say, thank goodness. I got the message across. If on the other hand, you got some teary-eyed teenager sitting there, or a little boy or little girl saying, oh mum, how could you say that after what I did? I failed. That test drive was so bad this week. I didn't make my bed. Whatever they say, I want you to say every single person possesses some wonderful traits and some things that may need improving. And I want you to know that despite everything, I wouldn't trade you for any other child in the whole world. And I love you for who you are. Again, children need to hear these words. It is so important for that to come out of your mouth. What if you're not their birth mother or you're in a relationship with a man who has children? Every child needs to know how special they are. And the most beautiful words that can come out of your mouth is, I'm so glad that I'm getting the chance to know you and have you in my life. I really think that you are a wonderful person, and I want you to know I really like you for who you are. Use the word like instead of love, if that makes you feel more comfortable. One woman who had a 12-year-old stepdaughter said this to her. She wanted to strangle this kid. She couldn't stand her. The only way she could say this phrase was to have a few drinks on Saturday night before she attempted this assignment. She felt she could not say it completely sober. So she said, I'm so glad you came into my life, not meaning one word of it. Monday, the teenage girl came up to her and said, do you remember what you said to me on Saturday night? Stepmom said, yeah, of course, I remember. The stepdaughter said, you do not. You were drunk. Of course, she did remember every word because obviously she was sober when she was taking my class. Her stepdaughter said, oh yeah, then what did you say? And she repeated it. and this girl got hysterical, crying, and ran upstairs. Do you know that this woman shared she has a different relationship now with her stepdaughter? There is nothing more wonderful than to take each child or anybody in your life and say, I am so glad, I am so enriched that you came into my life, and what a privilege it is to know you, and I really like you for who you are. It doesn't really make any difference that you didn't give birth to that child. What you want to do is develop a wonderful, close relationship with him or her. The other point I want to make is that when you say this to your partner, he may feel uncomfortable. If you get nothing back, it's because he's saying, I don't trust you. A leopard doesn't change its spots. Men love the change, and they want it to be part of you, and that's sincere, so just have patience. Many men, especially if they know you're listening to these lessons, will say something sarcastic. We're going to learn in the next lesson, which is one of my favorite lessons, about the male ego and how fragile it is. With me, being a male, it used to be difficult for me to admit this openly. Sometimes the humor and sarcasm is used to cover up a fragile ego. So if he comes back with, oh brother, did somebody tell you to say this? Or where did you get that from? Did you get that from listening to your program? They really don't care where you got it from. I'm not as concerned with the words as I am with the feeling. The fact is that when you're saying this to him, it feels good. He just wants to know that you mean it. You just say it again. Say something like, well, yes, I was listening to this program and I realized that I am so glad I married you. Or I'm so glad I met you. I really wanted you to know that I do love you for who you are. I'm telling you that the second time you say it and you just reinforce what you've just said before, you'll see the sarcasm stop. You'll see the gleam in his eye, his chest pushed out, his shoulders back a little further, and he'll walk with a little more confidence. All I care about is that he feels good. Don't worry about the words that come out of his mouth. The other thing I want you to do this week as part of your homework assignment is to replace an automatic negative thought with a positive thought. Keep a log for one day where you write all your negative thoughts. Now, this is really important. In this program, you're going to go from where you are now, which is completely unconscious of how negative you are, to becoming conscious of how negative you are. Most people walk around and they have no idea how negative they are. During the course of this week, you're going to begin realizing it. You may be out on Saturday night with friends and you'll think, I can't believe this couple. Everything that comes out of their mouth is a put down. She's so sarcastic and he's always making a critical remark. You're going to observe how cynical, pessimistic, and fault-finding some people, including yourself, are. The next step is, I'm going to put you in a position of being conscious positive. In other words, I'm asking you to say specific things that you don't feel and it feels uncomfortable, yet I'm asking you to do it on a conscious level. And then the last step is, you're going to be unconscious positive, where you don't even realize what a positive person you've become until you see somebody else who's still negative. Then you realize the growth that has occurred in you. I want you also to be aware that when you have negative thoughts, it creates negative energy, which in turn produces negative events in your life. Do you know somebody who always wins a raffle ticket? Do you know anybody like that? Whenever they go to a footy game or any kind of function, they're the ones that always win the raffle ticket. Do you know what they say before they win every single time? Watch, I'm going in there and winning because I always win. Do you know what everybody else says that doesn't win? I never win. I could buy 1,000 tickets, and if they were selling 1,001, the one ticket that I didn't buy would be the one that wins. I can't fully explain why, yet if you surround yourself with negative energy, negative things just seem to happen to you. This is a true story that a friend told me. My husband is deathly afraid of bees. He went to camp as a teenager where, in a lunchroom, he saw a bee. 500 kids in the lunchroom, and nobody knew this bee was up there except for him. He was staring at those bees, tracking every movement. He was breaking out into a cold sweat, saying to himself, watch this bee. It's going to come down, and it's going to sting me. Do you know what happened? The bee did come down, and out of 500 children sitting there, it chose him. Isn't that unbelievable? I mention this story because I've seen this happen over and over again. I don't want you to begin this program by saying, it can't work for you. Yes, it can. Don't you dare put a whammy on it. It has worked for thousands of men and women, and it's going to work for you too. So don't you dare say there's no way this man isn't going to change. He's not a committed man. He'll never be a committed man. He won't change. I'm telling you right now, you are setting up a negative vibration around you. If you are single and you are saying to yourself, this program will never work. I'll never have a man come into my life. You're right. A man will never come into your life unless you change your thoughts. If you're in the process of getting a divorce and you think, I'll never save my marriage, you're absolutely right. It won't save your marriage unless you change your negative thoughts. Now, I want you to know something incredible about the mind. It doesn't know the difference between real and make-believe. This is really powerful information. Do you know they set up 3 groups of basketball players? The first group had to shoot 30 minutes of baskets. The next group had to think a perfect basket for 30 minutes. The last group was to do nothing. Do you know when they tested these groups? Can you guess which one came out on top? The one that mentally pictured the perfect basket. So the mind doesn't know the difference between real and make-believe. So you can put in a positive thought. Even though you don't believe it, it doesn't make any difference. The mind doesn't know the difference. One of the fellows in my men's class gave me a fantastic example of this. He said that he took a Dale Carnegie course and somebody had to come up and lead the group by saying, "Boy, am I enthusiastic." So everybody said, "Boy, am I enthusiastic." Then the teacher said, "Okay, come on, let's try it again." And everybody said, "Boy, am I enthusiastic." Then the leader said, "If you don't sound like you are really enthusiastic this last time, you're coming up by yourself in front of a couple of 100 people, and you're going to have to say it by yourself until you sound like you're enthusiastic." Well, the next time he said, "Okay, group," everybody said, "Boy, am I enthusiastic." They were screaming. Now, the interesting thing is, even though they weren't in the mood and they forced themselves, do you know what happened? There were smiles on everybody's faces. The adrenaline started to flow. They actually did get excited and they actually felt enthusiastic. So you can go from a point where you don't feel like you really are madly in love to making believe you're madly in love, and then you'll actually feel it. A cute example of this is after my wife and I have had an argument and it's over. There's no loving feelings at this point. I'll say to her, "I know the argument's over. We don't really feel that loving towards each other. And let's just make believe that we're madly in love." Now, if you were madly in love with me, what would you do? And she looks at me and she says, "Well, if I was madly in love with you, I guess I'd put my arms around you." And I'll say, "Okay, I know you don't feel it yet. Let's just make believe." And she'll put her arm around me and then I'll say, "Now, what else would you do if you were madly in love with me now?" Not that we are yet. If we were madly in love. And she says, "Well, if I were madly in love, I guess I couldn't keep my lips away from you. I suppose I'd be kissing you." And I'll say, "Well, let's just make believe." Well, you get the gist of it. Within a couple of minutes, we're laughing and giggling, and the hurt feelings are over, and we are feeling very loving towards each other. So you can act the part first, and then actually feel the part. And it's just as much fun. You've got your homework assignments, so now those of you that are in a relationship, I want you to tell that man how glad you are that he came into your life and what a wonderful person he is and how you love him for who he is. For those of you that are single and are not in a relationship, listen to me. And again, I don't want that little voice in the back of your head to start talking to you about preconceived notions when I tell you the following story. A couple of years ago, 2 women in my class aged 35 and 45 ran a personal ad in a local newspaper. They ran an ad saying 2 women have never done anything like this before, want moonlight walks on the beaches, romantic candlelight dinners, etc., etc. They got 109 responses. They went out with 50 men each, and today they're both married. Now that's the first time that I even thought about a classified ad. I want you to know that this is a wonderful way to meet the man of your dreams. Now you're going to have to trust me on this. Try it. No negative thoughts unless you try it, experience it, and then evaluate it. Read the ads that are already in there, and that will give you a lot of information, then put your own ad together. Another friend of mine told me a couple of years ago they met a woman on a cruise who met her husband through the classified ads in a newspaper. She started out writing "raven-haired beauty looking for professional man." And she was so cute. She said to them, "Look at me. Do I look like a raven-haired beauty?" Yet I was in a good mood that day, so I decided to write it. She met and married a millionaire, and they are traveling all over the world. You have to keep an open mind. In a classified ad, you only have a couple of lines to describe something very unique about you. I want you to thumb through your local paper and read all of the ads. Remember, I want you to keep an open mind, and your homework assignment for next week is to put together an ad that you could place in your local newspaper. Now, I want to read 2 letters that I received. It says, "Ernie, I advertised in a local singles newspaper and received at least 30 letters from men ages 27 to 65. I even put my own age, which was 43. I met at least half of them, and I am presently seeing 2 of them. Ernie, I had doctors, corporate executives, attorneys, really great people responded to my ad. And what fun it is to be the one making the choice. Now here's another letter. I wanted to drop you a note after taking your workshop. I finally decided to try answering a few ads from the singles register. Actually, what I did was have an ad answering party with a few of my friends to help me select it and write my response. I thought this was such a great idea. She actually got a whole group together on Friday night where they all brainstormed about her personality and what kind of person she was looking for. They did it as a group. She goes on, after selecting 11 ads, my friends helped me write a basic response which varied slightly to fit each, and after I had been carrying these letters around for 3 weeks, I finally got up the nerve to mail them along with my photo. I am happy to report that after a week and a half, I have had 8 responses. So far, I've had dates with 3 of these men, and I'm looking at my calendar to see how I can fit the rest in. The men I have met have been charming, professional men, and one is even a legitimate self-made millionaire. It's too early to tell if any of these will work into a serious relationship, yet the prospect is intriguing. And I'm meeting some very nice people and having a great time. I had another woman in my class that felt this was something she could never do. Well, I finally convinced her to set up the P.O. box. I said, wouldn't it be exciting to go to that P.O. box and just pick up these letters that are coming to you, even if you do nothing with them, and share them with the rest of the office? She finally did it and got her first response. She brought in the picture that she received. The man was absolutely magnificent. She said, it was almost more exciting to hold on to that letter and the picture than to answer it because it's so wonderful when you place the ad and then get a response. I had another woman in my class whose mother did it, and her mother was in her 70s. Today, she's married because of her ad. You don't have to limit yourself to a newspaper. You can use any medium you like. A lot of magazines offer this too. It's a wonderful way to meet somebody new. Do you understand that if you meet a man somewhere for the first time, you can't say, I really like you, yet you smoke and that makes me uncomfortable? Or I'm a smoker and you don't, and I don't think it'll work out. Yet in an ad, you can put anything you want. Social drinker, non-smoker, religious, playful, wants children, doesn't want children. And the more specific you get, the less responses you're going to get. And hey, you only need one response if it's everything you've ever wanted. For him to respond, he probably said, wow, I read this ad and that's me. And the most wonderful thing is that if all of us sat down and read all of these ads, every woman would be attracted to a different ad because some of you want a very strong, opinionated man. Somebody else wants a sensitive, caring man. Another person wants somebody romantic. Somebody else wants a meat and potatoes kind of guy. Everybody wants something different, and the beauty is to really think about what it is you're looking for and what is very unique about you. And everybody I know that has done this has had such a wonderful time. And I'll tell you this, you can't be lazy and advertise because it takes a lot to put the ad together, to get a photo of yourself and to send it in so you're getting a better quality man. Don't rule out any of these dating organizations or matchmaking services. Most women will say, oh my gosh, that's a couple of $1,000s to belong. Well, a higher quality man is going to join. You see, if it costs a couple of $1,000s, you're not going to get somebody who's hanging around a pub. It's somebody who's serious about finding a relationship. One woman in my class that didn't even own a Mercedes used to go to the Mercedes dealership and park herself in the service department. She met a guy, started talking, and fell in love. I know women that take seminars. If you want to go where there are men, take a financial seminar. Go and find financial seminars that marketing companies, real estate companies, or stockbrokers put on and put yourself in that seminar. Not only are you going to learn and grow, yet you're going to be where successful men and goal-oriented men are. I know one thing for sure. Sitting home and doing nothing gets you nothing. So just trust me and do it. And then you can say, you know what, Ernie, I put in the ad and it didn't work. I'd rather you come from a point of experience than thinking, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. This isn't going to work. Those of you that are out there, will you promise me just at least give it a try? I know in one class I had 2 women and they swapped pictures because both liked the picture they received by the other. We had another class where a woman was in her 60s. She was a grandmother and we all followed her for the next 6 weeks of my class. She met him at a local cozy little restaurant and we followed her relationship the whole next 6 weeks to the point where they were very serious. And here's a woman in her 60s who had never done anything like this before and again was open enough to say, hey, I've got nothing to lose. Let me give it a try. Listen to this lesson again if you have to. You know how most people will say, have a good week? Well, I want you to make it a good week. I want you to decide that this week is going to be the most positive, most productive week of your life. Do you know why? Because you deserve it. This is the end of session 1. Please stay to listen to a sneak preview of next week's session. Welcome to session number 2, Admiration and Appreciation. I'd like to start out with a poem, and it's called Request to a Wife. Dear wife, I need adoring looks, the kind I read about in books. I want esteem, I want affection. Please, darling, beam in my direction. Don't, dearest, frown and squint your eyes. Don't cut me down to proper size. Oh, do not fear and do not doubt me. I want to hear the good about me. So if you'd be married clover, make over me, don't make me over. We're going to talk about admiration and appreciation in this lesson, and we're going to also learn how fragile the male ego is. Believe it or not, there isn't a woman listening to this that doesn't have a stronger ego than any male out there. They did a survey a long time ago, and they asked 550 successful men who they felt were responsible for their successes. And all of them said that it was due to a woman in their life.
Congratulations on completing the second half of Lesson 1 in Awaken His Passion. You've taken an important step toward rekindling and deepening the love, passion, and chemistry in your relationship. Remember, transformation is a journey, one that requires ongoing effort, awareness, and the application of the insights you've gained today. To express my gratitude for your commitment to personal growth, I'm thrilled to offer you, until the end of June, an exclusive additional 20% discount on the complete 6-week program, since Ernie is already offering an established 33% discount. Just use the code ANGELA20 during checkout, and you'll unlock a life-changing experience for nearly half the standard price, which is approximately $77 per week for 6 weeks. This way you can be well on your way to a magnificent relationship within the first few weeks of going through this program. And that's not all. You'll also receive a free complimentary lifetime membership to our supportive community and forum group. This invaluable space acts much like a counseling or support group, allowing you to connect with Ernie and others on a similar journey. If privacy is a concern, feel free to post anonymously or reach out to him privately for guidance. Besides providing ongoing support, your comfort, security, privacy, and safety are our utmost priorities. And let's be honest, how many times have you heard a counselor say, after 6 sessions, I'll offer you free lifetime support? If Ernie senses that you could benefit from therapy or healing sessions, he will share his insights. And as a program graduate, you'll gain access to his highly discounted rates for life. He can work on anything ranging from migraines to phobias and PTSD, as well as back pain and arthritis. In general, he can work on any emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual issue affecting not only your relationship, yet your life. Upon graduating at the 6-week mark, you will also unlock a treasure trove of additional bonuses designed to enrich your experience. These include an e-book titled 101 Romantic Ideas to help keep the sparks flying, a personalized certificate of completion that you can proudly display, 16 concise YouTube videos addressing specific relationship issues with actionable solutions, a 45-minute video packed with more relationship insights, complete with 2 quizzes, an additional free lesson 7, and if you haven't signed up yet, complimentary relationship improvement tips delivered straight to your inbox. Altogether, these bonuses have a value of $3,670. For perspective, just lodging an application for divorce in Australia costs around $1,000, while divorce solicitors charge more than $550 per hour. A decent laptop will set you back about $2,000, and a reasonable kitchen fridge costs over $800. Ernie once met a man who lost a staggering $5 million due to divorce. Yet, for less than $80 a week over 6 weeks, you can access Ernie's full program, brimming with added extras. This isn't just a one-time program, it's a resource you'll return to time and again whenever you encounter relationship challenges. Even Ernie himself revisits the material regularly to keep things on track. So ask yourself, can you afford not to seize this opportunity right now? Invest in yourself, your partner, and the chemistry that binds you together. Your commitment to this journey can lead to the joyful and passionate relationship you've been striving for and pass on to your children. Oh, one more thing, and possibly one of the most important. Because we believe in the success of your relationship so much, we have collaborated to offer you a 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked. This means you get to go through the first 4 of the 6 lessons, and if for whatever reason you're not convinced this is the right fit for you, simply ask for a refund. All payments are secure as they go via PayPal. If you ever come across a psychologist, counselor, therapist, or coach that comes even close to the same level of confidence, we'd love to hear about it. Thank you for being here today. I look forward to seeing you soon in our private community chat and forum group as we continue to awaken both his passion and yours. Until next time, take care and always remember, the path to lasting love begins with you. Click on the link below to start today.